Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. As a reminder, don't forget that I have an audio version of this podcast available wherever you listen to your podcast at. My name is Matt, and welcome to the Lessons I've Learned podcast. On today's episode, I am excited to welcome the creator of the My Stuttering Life podcast and YouTube channel and other social platform outlets. I have Pedro Pena. Pedro, how are you today?
I am good, Matt. How are you, my friend?
I am doing good as well. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today. You are, whenever I did your podcast, I think it's been almost around a year now. After I did it, I sort of left the episode feeling very, very, very good and inspired. And it sort of, I think, planted a seed of I think I want to do some podcast stuff as well. So I appreciate you for that.
That is the best compliment, because let me tell you, Matt, we had a lot of awesome, positive emails from all over the world, and you are the third guest that was on my podcast that created their own podcast as after being on my podcast. And the other two guests, the first one was Rama Siva from the UK.
Okay.
He served under the Prime Minister of the UK.
Okay.
He has a stutter, and so after being on my podcast, he created his own podcast. He's doing fantastic. And then number two is the Schofield Diaries. Callum Schofield. I hope he doesn't get angry. I don't know if he's from Ireland or Scotland. I don't know, but he started his podcast and it just took off. He was interviewing actors. I mean, and famous sports players. I'm like, that is just phenomenal. And so and then to hear you, it's the highest compliment. So thank you, sir.
I really appreciate you speaking with me that day, and I had never really done any sort of podcast audio interview stuff before, and after I talked with you, I was like, I really liked this whole just talking with someone over the internet, and I love learning about new people, so I was like, let me do my own thing where I just get to talk with people and ask them questions, and I greatly appreciate you giving me a little bit of your time today, and I really look forward to our conversation that we're going to have.
Awesome, sir. Thank you. This is a great honor.
So, Pedro, the first question that I want to ask you, sort of as a warm-up question that I ask to all the guests, is what is the first lesson? It can be positive or a negative one. What's the first lesson that you remember learning in life?
It was to have a thick skin, because, with having a stutter, you have those around you who are not going to be nice. They're going to mock you. They're going to tease you. They're going to bully you, call you names. And, for such a long time, Matt, I internalized everything. I believed everything that they were telling me. I believed I was slow. I believed I was stupid. I believed that I had a form of mental retardation. I believed that I would never have a career. I would never get married. I would never, graduate high school. And to hear that every day, Matt, just without fail, to hear it every single day by many people, different people I didn't even know. You tend to believe it and you internalize it, and at a certain point, your body, it can only handle so much. I mean, there is a breaking point, and I had that breaking point. I almost, I was almost gone from this earth, in that darkness. And so I came out of it. I came out of the darkness, came into the light, and learned to have a thick skin. Whatever you tell me, my motto is hurt people, hurt people. If you want to make yourself feel better by making fun of me, that is on you. Because Pedro's awesome. Pedro is fantastic. He is awesome. Yes, he has a stutter, but it doesn't define who I am. It's just what I have. So learning to have a thick skin, it's wonderful. You can tell me anything. I mean, please. It won't do you no good.
Do you, I almost find, because sort of like being a kid and having a stutter, and I'm in this place as an adult now where I'm a lot more fluent than I was. And some of that may have to been like growing up with like and going through puberty, and maybe that made it worse, and who knows, there could be all sorts of things. But I almost find that I'm in this place now to where it's like, you probably can't say anything worse to me than I've internally said to myself. Like, which, I mean, yeah.
I mean, we are our worst own critics. Because let me tell you, man, there were days when I would, after just a horrible day. Well, I had many, many horrible days. But you just hop into your vehicle and you close the door and you yell at the top of your lungs every word that your mother told you never to say. You are, every word in the bad book just comes out at you. I mean, I would just curse at myself. I mean, and that's what you do. Well, that's what I did, because I didn't know that I could just ignore them, that I could just develop over time a thick skin. And so that way, if you tell me anything, I'm from Texas, and we say, bless your heart. If you tell me anything bad, bless your heart. Because, I'm in Texas. Buc-ee's, hoo-ha. I mean, it's just, it's all good.
Their barbecue sandwich, if you've never gotten a barbecue sandwich from Buc-ee's.
Okay.
They're
Matt,
good.
I go out of my way to go to Buc-ee's and get me a barbecue brisket sandwich with the pickles the onions and the 800-ounce Dr. Pepper. Hello.
It's good. It's good. If you are anywhere near a Buc-ee's, get a brisket sandwich from Buc-ee's. It's good.
It will change your life. What I learned is if you kill them with kindness, they don't know how to respond. They don't know how to react, and 9 times out of 10 they walk away. If they tell me, "Oh, you don't know how to talk," and then I respond, "That's a cool shirt. I like your shirt."
Right.
It just throws them off. They don't know how to respond. You have taken back their power and they just walk away. It's like, as you get older, Matt, because I'm like double your age. When you get my age, bless your heart, I am too blessed to be stressed with this mess.
Absolutely,
is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Well, and I mean, I think there have been times because I've had to be quiet in situations because I knew I was going to stutter. I think it sort of has helped me to at times have a quick wit. If the worst thing you're going to say to me is, "Oh, you have trouble speaking," I'm like, that's not even funny. Like, if you're going to make fun of me, like, at least say something funny.
Right.
Because otherwise it's like.
Right. See, and what I tell everybody is people who stutter, we are creative. We are resilient. We are resourceful. Because we have to be. It's called survival. And so, I mean, I love humor. It helps me in everything. Now I can laugh at what happened in my past, which, I could never do because I was always angry because why can't I talk? And all these other people who I see at school in the hallway are talking and and they're laughing and they're having a good time. And here I am all by myself. No one to talk to. And I mean, I had a lot of anger because, I just didn't know how to deal with it. But, as you get older, you get a little wiser, you learn and grow. And that is the whole key. You learn and you grow. And the more that I found out about who Pedro is, I mean, it's like I can do anything now.
There was a quote that I found about a year and a half or so ago that said, "One day the mountain that is in front of you will be so far behind you that it will be barely visible in the distance, but the person that you become in overcoming the mountain, that person will remain, and that is the purpose of the mountain." And that's sort of been, as I've been working through a lot of my own stuff these last few years, that's sort of been a quote that I have sort of reiterated in my head. And so these things that experiencing your stutter, those things that you have sort of learned about yourself, have you then been able to in turn sort of direct that and help other people?
Oh my gosh, you hit it right on the head, Matt. For over 35 years, Matt, just picture this, 35 years of everyone telling you that you're slow, that you're stupid, that you will never amount to any thing. After 35 years of the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment, you tell yourself, that's it. I'm done. I am tired of being tired. Because as you know, Matt, stuttering is exhausting mentally, physically, psychologically. It is just draining. And I've had enough. I said, I'm done. I am done. Pedro is awesome. Pedro has a stutter. Who cares? But before I reached that point, there were stages of, like, I don't want to say grief, but all of the anger, all of the sadness, all I mean, all of the horrible stuff that happened to me, I put it in a box and I left it in the hallway, and I kept on walking. And at the end of the hallway is when I had my aha moment. I'm done. At 40 years old, I'm done. I don't care if you make fun of me. I don't care if you mock me, tease me. I love Pedro. Pedro is awesome. And at that point, I told myself, I need to do something, because in my darkest days, this one person, a homeless person whom I did not know, he told me that I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a purpose. And so I thought, well, because, I thought I was the only one in the entire world that had a stutter, the only one. And later in life, there were others. There's more like me. So I created a YouTube channel. At first it was rough. And then after I sort of kind of mastered YouTube, I ventured into podcasting, because everyone told me no one wants to hear a person who can't talk on the radio. They don't want to hear heavy breathing. Well, there are some people who want to hear that, but they're not my target audience. And so I told myself that I want to reach as many people as I can to tell them how awesome that they are. You have a stutter? Oh, well, I think you're phenomenal. I think you're amazing. And after I was recording my podcast episodes, after I was recording my YouTube videos, the comments from all over the world were just astounding. They were fantastic. I thought I was the only one. How do you handle a job interview? How do you handle dating? I mean, and we were helping one another. We were helping each other. And that was, that's what it's all about.
Sort of touching on the whole, like, what has stuttering taught you? Growing up, my dad, he also stuttered. And so I never really got the experience of not having someone in your life who does stutter. But now that I'm older, I have, when this is sort of a little bit of a side thing, but I'm a big fan of like Survivor and Big Brother and like all this stuff.
Big
and
Brother.
They have recently.
We'll talk later.
So good.
We'll talk later.
Absolutely. They've recently have done an initiative. CBS has said going forward, all of their casting for Survivor and Amazing Race and Big Brother is going to be at least 50% people of color. And
awesome.
Just to have more representation in the cast and more diversity in the cast. And I was sort of thinking about it one day, and I was like, you know what? I realized growing up that I never, I knew that my dad stuttered and I had that, but I never saw anyone that stuttered on TV. I never saw anyone that stuttered in a movie. Occasionally, if you did, it was the butt of a joke, or it was Porky Pig or something you never saw somebody with a life, a three-dimensional person shown in front of you in any sort of media. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I remember thinking about that as a kid. And so I could absolutely see, if you're watching someone and you don't see someone who merely looks like you, how that could mentally affect you.
Exactly.
And it's interesting now sort of taking that and examining these things. And I mean, on a surface level, I can see that diversity is important, but then I'm able to then say, okay, this is how it was reflected through my life. And sort of how you said, you thought you were alone. You didn't realize there were other people like you that stuttered. And I think that's really cool that you are able to really build up this community and this audience and just talk to people. And I love that about your stuff, Pedro. I think that's fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
I know that you mentioned that um, that your mom, that she also stuttered. Is that
Yes.
correct? And so, how would you sort of describe your or like your stuttering style? And then what was her stuttering style like? And then I know that you mentioned that she was sort of able to overcome her stutter. And so I would be interested in knowing like what was your experience like that with having someone who was able to sort of overcome this thing and that you weren't able to overcome your thing.
Well, my parents, they worked, picking cotton, picking tomatoes, picking watermelon. You had to work on the farm. And so, I think I have like, like total like 18 uncles and 20 aunts. I mean, we're a huge, huge, huge family. And, they all worked in the fields. And so my mom, with, she had her stutter, and it made it difficult for her, you know, growing up in a time where no one really knew what it was. That was in the oh my gosh, I want to say the late 1960s, the 1950s. And when she was 14 years old, she told herself she's done. She's done. And I don't know if it was girl power, she's Wonder Woman, but it was gone. It was gone. I mean, maybe it's her growth mindset. I mean, but it was gone. It was gone. And so she tells me stories, how, it was difficult for her because she was a girl. And, more often than not, males, are the, dominant gender,
Right.
who stutter. So for her, being a girl, being a minority, working on a farm, the goal is get married, and have your own family. But if you have a stutter, ooh, that puts a wrench in everything. And, for her, she had her moment at 14. I had my aha moment at age 40. It was an aha moment where, I learned to accept my stutter. I learned to embrace it. And that was the day where I told myself that I love you, which I hadn't told myself ever, because all that I heard was just the negative stuff, never positive. Because at home growing up, we didn't talk about it. It was never discussed. The only time that we talked about it was in school, the IEPs. No, no. Back then, they were called ARDs.
Got
And
it.
that's when you meet with a speech therapist, and you create a plan for the school year, and da da da. But yeah, I mean, she had a lot of struggles, but for her, she had enough of it. And, she reached that point at age 14. I reached mine at age 40. I wish I did it earlier, but, life happens, as it happens, like what I tell my friends, no regrets, no regrets. And here's why I say that. I used to work in a prison, And so, they would do the tattoos. And apparently this person couldn't spell. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Awesome.
And, it had on there, no regrets. I never forgot that. So it's so great. Way to go, Beaumont Federal Prison. So anyway, yeah, I digress. But yeah, things happen for a reason. And so, 40 was the day that a whole new world had opened up. An entirely new world that I never thought existed.
I'm at this point now, and it sounds like you are also at this point where like you realize the times when you're going to stutter, like those times are just going to happen.
Yeah.
I know that I have days, and so I want to know if you have days like this as well, where you're just like, I'm just not wanting to deal with it today. I'm not gonna go and order this thing because I know it's gonna make me stutter, and you're not avoiding it because you're afraid of it, but you're just like, are there days where you still sort of find yourself sort of navigating, basing things around your stutter? Maybe not out of fear, but just because you're just over it that day.
Oh God, yes. I mean, it's so unpredictable. It's just random. I mean, people tell me that it's caused by stress or anxiety. And so I tell them, no, it isn't. However, it may exacerbate it, but it isn't the cause. It's just random. It's unpredictable. There are days I can say every letter in the alphabet perfectly, and there are days I can't. And on those days, I'll hop on an app and I will order food. And so
right,
because it's called survival. It's survival. We still have to eat. We still have to do this, and we still have to do that. But over the 45 years, 45 years of having my stutter, I have learned a bunch of tricks, and people call them crutches and da-da-da-da. I call it, I have tools in my tool belt. So if
Right.
I have to be British, it's quite lovely. I will be British to help me get over a block. It is what it is.
For sure.
It's not
For
a
sure.
quite good accent, but you know what? I do my best. So sorry.
If Sundays you went to Starbucks and they thought your name was Paul, it's just going to be Paul that day.
Matt, Starbucks, there are times I can't say my name. And so, I will give them a different name that I can say that day. Mm-hmm. And when they call that name, here I am, I'm on my phone, I'm multitasking, and they're calling the name that I gave them that I forgot I gave them. And then they're looking at me, sir, you're Paco. Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Yep. Paco present.
I've been Jorge. I've been Paco. On one brave day, I was Sebastian because I could say my S's that day. Whew, it is what it is. Life goes on, Matt. It's called survival. I want that coffee latte mochaccino.
Do you have any funny stories that are associated with your stuttering? Like maybe your stutter got you into a quirky situation that it's just a funny story?
Well, there was a time in my life where I communicated by Post-its. Where are some Post-its? I think I have some, but I would write everything down, right? Because, I couldn't say it. There was a period in my life where I just whispered. There was a period in my life where I just didn't talk. And this period is when I would write Post-its for everything. So I needed to cash a check at a bank. And so I wrote down on a Post-it, I need to cash my check. which I wrote it all down, and st- st- standing in line, at the bank, everything's great. I wrote everything down on a Post-it. I'm going to hand it to the teller. Everything's going to be great. Until I walk up to the teller and hand her the note. She doesn't even read it. Her eyes get super big, and all I recall is there are 2 security guards behind me. And you thought I couldn't talk then. I have 2 huge security guards behind me, and they're escorting me to the manager's office. And then here come the police. And here I am. I can't breathe. I can't talk. I'm sweating like nobody's business. And the whole time, she has not opened up the note. She hit the panic button, and I was in the manager's office with these 2 security guards with the police on their way. And I mean, they had to just evacuate the building. And here I thought I'll just go to cash me a check at Nations Bank back in the day. No. And so I told myself, this will not work in prison. No, this will not survive in prison. So I had to quickly somehow get my name and tell him why I did what I did. And when he was talking to the teller and took back the Post-it and they opened it, I thought, I'm going to die here. I'm going to die in this bank in South Texas.
I remember when we last spoke, you told me that you have created, and maybe it was a YouTube video of yours that I saw as well, but you've created a card that basically, like, I think it has your name and then it says, I have a stutter. Is that right?
Yes, I have it everywhere. I have it in my vehicles. I have it in my wallet. I carry it everywhere just in case, nothing
Absolutely.
comes out, because it's random, Matt. It's unpredictable.
Absolutely.
No,
that's a great idea.
I just hand over that card, and it's wonderful. It answers every single question, because I was pulled over for speeding, and I could not say my name, and apparently the policeman thought he equated stuttering with lying.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I felt horrible. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't say nothing. He wrote me a ticket, and I mean, I felt horrible afterwards. But now I have that card everywhere. So whatever happens, I just whip it out. Survival.
And is this a card that you created yourself, or is it a template that you found online, or like, where did you get the idea for that?
One of my podcast guests had told me about it. It's from the National Stuttering Association, and you can go to their website and they can mail you them. It's awesome. I carry them everywhere because I mean, you just don't know, I mean, how your speech is going to be, 2 minutes down the road or half an hour, or I mean, you just don't know. So I like having that card because it tells them I have a stutter. I'm not lying. I'm not a druggie. I'm not on crack. It's just I can't say my name. And here's the card that'll tell you why.
I'm not going to sneeze on you in the line at Subway.
Exactly. I just have a stutter.
Pedro, as we're sort of finishing up here, I've got 2 final questions. The first one that I want to ask you is, what is some advice that you would give to someone who maybe is struggling speaking, and like in a world where people speak, like that could be frustrating. Or even if somebody has a stutter and they're struggling to sort of work through that, like, what's some advice that you'd give to someone?
I say, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I remember, before doing anything speech-wise, and here, Matt, I'm keeping it real. All right, I'm keeping it real. I would take antidiarrheal. I would take headache medication, Pepto-Bismol, even before I had to do what I had to do speech-wise. I mean, my body had a physical reaction to the upcoming fear, the upcoming anxiety, the upcoming unknown. And I wasted so much time worrying about it and worrying about it. I have some gray hairs here. I mean, that's from 45 years of worrying. And after I learned to let it go, just let it go. Whatever happens, happens. Know that you're awesome. Do your diaphragmatic breathing and just do it. Just do it. Let go of everything. The fear, anxiety, everything. Let it go. And once I did that, oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, I never had to take any of those medications, OTCs, over the counters ever again. Just let it go.
I hear people use the phrase "let it go." What is a way that you let it go? How does Pedro let things go?
There is a book that I read by Mel Robbins. It's called the 5-second rule, and that book completely changed my life. Because number one, I learned to turn my fear and my anxiety into excitement. For example, when I have to give a presentation up on stage, it would just mortify me. I mean, every organ in my body, hence, I didn't eat the day before. I did not drink anything the day before, because I knew if I did, I would get all worked up and then I would have to spend all day in the restroom. After that book, I learned to turn my anxiety and fear into excitement. I couldn't wait to hop on stage, Matt. I could not wait until they handed me that microphone, because I knew once I got on stage, it's go time. It's showtime. And once I learned how to do that, it changed everything. Now I can't wait to talk in front of hundreds of people. I love it. I love it. And then two, from that book, I learned the countdown. In her book, she talks about if you have to do something that you know is difficult, just, no, I just can't do it. Do what NASA does here in Houston. They count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And after the word go, you do what you're going to do. And so when I am walking on that stage in my head, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I'm on that stage. They hand me the mic. It's go time. It's go time. And that has just completely turned everything around. I mean, I love to talk in front of hundreds of people. I still stutter, but I have a great icebreaker, okay? Works every single time, Matt, and you may borrow it. When I go up on
I'm ready.
stage and there's 100 people or 200 or 300, here's my icebreaker. Hey, good morning. My name is Pedro Pena. I have a speech impediment. I stutter. So if I get hung up on any word, give me 8 hours and the word will come out. But if you know what I'm trying to say, help you, help me, help you, help me, help you, help me. And it works every single time. When I hear laughter in the audience, I know it comes from a place of love and support, nurturing and professionalism. And when I hop on that stage, it is go time, Matt. I love being on stage.
That is awesome, Pedro. I love that. That's yeah, that's awesome. I have one final question. As we're sort of closing out here, what is something that you are currently learning about yourself? Maybe you don't know what the full lesson is yet. Maybe you're only like getting a glimpse of it. But is there anything right now that you feel like you're learning about yourself?
I mean, I learn every single day. I mean, my motto is never stop learning. I started meditation. I do mindful meditation. There is an app that I use called it's the orange one, Headspace. And
Headspace? I love
so
Headspace.
every morning I do my meditations. I focus on my breathing. I do my positive affirmations. I love Pedro. Pedro is awesome. This is going to be a good day. It's going to be a great day. I do that every single day. And the more I put that out there, the more that I put out there positivity. And I mean, I kid you not, Matt, it comes back. It comes back because if there are times where I know I'm going to have a problem, I go back to my mindful meditation. I do my diaphragmatic breathing. And so I said, I'm going to do this. If I stutter, oh, well, who cares? Life goes on, but I'm going to do it. And it has just helped me in every aspect of my life, which I could never in a million years imagine that I would be where I am right now. I am truly happy where I wasn't for 35 years. 35 years of shame, guilt, embarrassment. No. 40, I said, I'm awesome. I have a stutter. Oh, well, I love Pedro. And from that day on, a whole new world opened up. And I said, you cannot keep me down. You cannot dim my light because I'm here and I'm not going to stop talking. I'm going to keep on talking because what I was told is that we're here for a purpose. We are here for a reason. And what I tell everybody, just be awesome. Be awesome. Help one another. Support one another. And it's just, life is really good. Yeah.
Very good. No, thank you so much for joining me today, Pedro. I just felt like super encouraged, and I'm a firm believer in just like things being shown to you and things coming to you, and you just did some really good stuff today that I'm feeling resonates in a space that I needed to hear. So I greatly appreciate that.
Well, I want to say, thank you, Matt, because the more that we are out there we are raising awareness, and that is what it's all
Absolutely.
about. People who stutter, we're awesome. We are phenomenal. We are amazing. I mean, and we are lawyers. We are doctors. We are businessmen. We are content creators. I mean, don't let anyone tell you what you cannot do in this world, because you can do anything.
I love it, Pedro. If anyone wants to connect with Pedro, you can find his podcast, his YouTube, his Instagram, his TikTok at My Stuttering Life. He also has a Twitter that, unfortunately, due to the character limitations, is just My Stuttering. So maybe it's about life, maybe it's about work. Who knows? You got to go to his Twitter to find out. But Pedro is fantastic at what he does, and he is so encouraging and so positive, and I think that's so essential to the online space, to have people that are creating positive content and are creating positive things that they're putting out there. Pedro, is there anywhere else that people can find you at, or any other social things that you would like to mention?
The website, it's www.mystutterlife.com. There you'll find everything.
Perfect. Fantastic. Well, Pedro, thank you so much for joining me today. And I'm so grateful that you gave me a little bit of your time today. I had a great conversation with you, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
How cool. Thank you, Matt. This is a huge honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
You are doing awesome things, and thank you so much.